So we have a new candidate for America's worst boss, Elon Musk. Let's talk about it in today's video. Hi, I'm Mike Greiner. I'm a lifelong Democratic activist who's concerned about the direction our country is taking. I'm also a lawyer and an academic, and I'm here to help you stand up to the BS of the MAGA crowd. So as if it wasn't bad enough that Elon Musk is buying Twitter, making all the Twitter users nervous, the people who are really nervous about what's going on, I think, are the Twitter employees who've seen the way he treats employees at other companies. I mean, my son's an engineer, and I remember when he was graduating from college, he thought about trying to apply for a job at either SpaceX or Tesla. Then he heard the rumors of how miserable it was to work there, how pay was low, hours were long, and the boss was constantly going around basically throwing temper tantrums. Which the boss, of course, is Elon Musk. Elon Musk might be exciting to watch on Twitter because of his mercurial personality and the inability to predict what he's going to say next. But the problem is, his employees have the inability to predict what he's going to say next. As a result, they're often shocked by what they see on Twitter about the next new product that they're going to have to come up with. It's not by accident that he's made all kinds of pronouncements for new upcoming products that have yet to appear. Things like self-driving cars or solar-powered power charging stations. Imagine how it would feel, though, to be in that kind of an environment with somebody who you just never know what he's going to say. You never know what's going to happen. Each day you go into the office not knowing how your job is going to change, what's going to be the new demand, and oftentimes the new ridiculous demand, something that obviously is not technically capable. Part of the reason that they haven't been able to produce these self-driving cars or these solar-powered charging stations. We've also heard about the way that he treats women and minorities, and that when people complain, he's basically told them to get over it. The thing that supposedly makes it all worthwhile are the stock options that you're going to earn. But from what I understand, most employees can't stand working there for the 4 years that are required to be able to vest in the stock options. And what's more is you never know when he's going to make some tweet or suddenly decide to go on some fool's errand, like buying Twitter, for example, that's going to destroy the value of the company. I wonder how many employees who've been counting on those stock options have seen their options crater as a result of his self-destructive decision to go and buy Twitter. A decision that more and more appears is not going to come to pass, as Twitter's value has dropped since he announced the acquisition. What that indicates is Wall Street doesn't think that Elon Musk is going to be able to go through with this transaction. But the latest move that struck me was his announcement that Tesla and SpaceX workers had to spend at least 40 hours a week in the office or they'd be fired. Nothing says you care about your employees like insisting that they come into the office. And I can tell you, as someone who does a lot of work from home and who has a son who does a lot of his work from home, employees who are well managed when they work from home can produce a lot. Sometimes can produce more efficiently than if they're actually in the office, since oftentimes we'll spend time working that we otherwise would have spent commuting or chatting with office mates around the office cooler. Now, as a professor of management, I can tell you that bosses that insist on their employees being in the office for a certain number of hours are really lazy managers and not very good ones. They're focused on the process rather than the results. But I guess this shouldn't be surprising after we saw Elon Musk basically throw a temper tantrum when he had to shut down some of his factories as a result of the COVID pandemic. He defied stay-at-home orders at his factories because he wanted to produce things and he really didn't care about the safety of his employees, which that's really what this is all about. Elon Musk doesn't care about anybody except himself. He doesn't care about his shareholders, he doesn't care about his employees, he doesn't care about his suppliers, and he doesn't care about his customers. All he cares about is his enormous ego that constantly has to be fed. The truth is, he's just another Donald Trump. He just hasn't run for office yet. I mean, it wasn't all that long ago that Donald Trump actually did have a narrative of being a successful business person. I mean, I joined the multitudes who would watch The Apprentice during its first few seasons when it was a huge hit, and it presented this image of him as a great business person. And I, at the time, was even aware of his multiple corporate bankruptcies and business failures. In fact, I pointed out that in the intro to his show, when he talked about negotiating deals with creditors and everything, what he was talking about was going through a bankruptcy process. It's true that Elon Musk might have some successes to point to, but for that matter, so did Donald Trump. I mean, Trump Tower is a impressive development, and even those who didn't like him had to admire his social media savvy, even before we had Twitter and when all the news was on page 6 of the newspaper. Elon Musk, though, is just a guy who tells a good story. I mean, the truth of the matter is, Tesla has generally not been profitable, and for the most part, its cars are not very reliable. Where Consumer Reports was once very impressed with the Model S, they've had to back off from their recommendations given the fact that you can't rely on it to get you to work. That's a pretty big problem for a car company. And for all his whining about how he's a libertarian and doesn't believe in paying taxes, he's certainly happy to benefit from government largesse, without which there would be no SpaceX or Tesla. So I wish that we'd stop lionizing these people who really are basically bullies. Because with his huge ego, selfishness, and lack of caring for anybody but himself, he's really only steps away from those egotistical narcissists who decide that they're going to shoot things up just to get some attention. Well, if you want to hear more about Elon Musk's whining, why don't you check out this other video I did over here a little while ago about his whining that he might have to actually pay some taxes. God forbid. I'll see you then. In the meantime, let's hope for continued progress. Thank you.